I was just thinking of something. Um, Sometimes I can do that, yeah. Sometimes I can think of something. In Lakota ancient society, there's a ceremony that regards mental illness, yeah, and the fact that we have this ceremony that shows you that we had mental illness, yeah, that mental illness existed before white people came, because a lot of racist Indian activists, they like to say that white people brought all diseases. Yeah, they think that we were all, you know, disease free and everything messed up when the white people came, and that's not true. That is racism. Yeah, because look at all these herbs, these herbal remedies that different Indian tribes have all over North and South America. If we were disease free, we wouldn't need these things. But the fact that we have these cures, that means we had diseases. Because why would you have a cure if there was no disease? Do you see what I mean? Yeah, that's like walking around with a plate and knife, fork, and spoon and saying, I don't need any food, but I like the way these things look. Who does that? Yeah. Just off guys do that. Yeah? But you see, mental illness. See, it shows you that we did have these diseases. The fact that we have these ceremonies shows you that we had these diseases before white people came. So white people did not bring mental illness. We had it already. Hey, we're all humans. Yeah? We're all humans all over this world, and we're going to get the same kind of diseases. That's how it is. So we had this, yeah, and this ceremony really focuses. I'm not going to say everything on it because I don't want the new agers to go out there in some parking lot and try and do this, yeah. Yeah, but I'm just going to talk about it. That it does involve the west direction. It involves Wakia and heyoka. Heyoka is the male representation of Wakia. Wakia is female, yeah. But when she expresses herself as heyoka, she's male. So it's like she's both. Yeah, she's both genders, a type of hermaphrodite. Okay, so this is the reason why only men can be heyoka, is because it's the male expression of thunder and lightning. Yeah, thunder and lightning is that's female. Okay, this is really ancient stuff I'm telling you here. All right, so some people might disagree with me, but this is coming from Lakota Star knowledge. And so the West is associated with birth, it's associated with cleansing and beginning. Yeah. So in this sense, the color black is represented. Yeah, is used to represent the West direction. And the teaching goes is that if you don't have black, if you're doing something with the directions, and if you don't have any black, you can use dark blue. But it should be black. Yeah, this represents beginning, birth, cleansing, purification. Yeah, this is how the earth was created. This is why in the sweat lodge it's dark, because it's the beginning. It's a cleansing. It's a birth. It's a new beginning. Yeah. So these things are important. And when men dream of thunder and lightning constantly, and they better talk to medicine person about that because it might mean that Wakia is calling them to be Heoka. and they have to be heyoka for at least 1 year. Okay, a heyoka does everything backwards. They specific of what they mean. They dress funny. Their clothes are inside out. They they walk backwards, as I said, and they the simplest tasks like sitting on a chair, they make it really difficult. Yeah, and the result can be really funny. Yeah, this is their cleansing. They're bringing laughter, and laughter is probably one of the most important parts of these kind of ceremonies because it starts a cleansing process. Okay, it begins a cleansing process. Then the treatment can be administered to the patient. See what I mean? So this uh, this is what heyokas do, and like I said, when the only way a person can be heyoka is number one, he's got to be a man. Yeah, because like I said, heyoka is the male representation of thunder and lightning. Okay, um, and they have to dream of a lot of thunder and lightning. And even in their conscious reality of being awake, it seems like wherever they go, it's always thunder and lightning. Yeah. And so they get concerned. So that's why I said they need to talk to a medicine person right away and describe the dream. Because if it's a call, it's going to be, it has to follow a certain protocol. We have dream societies in ancient Lakota culture, and these uh, societies, they are set on certain protocols that happen in dreams. Okay, so the thunder and lightning has to do a certain thing in the dream, and if it does do the correct thing, then that man has to be heyoka for at least 1 year. Yeah. So, um, you have to another thing that comes into play too is this natural law of generosity, and that is how you communicate. That energy goes out and it returns to you 4 times as strong. So when it's healthy, it's going to come back to you as a really nice blessing. Yeah. If it's unhealthy, it's going to come back to you and really mess you up because it's going to come back to you more unhealthy. 4 times as unhealthy. Yeah. And what heyokas are doing is they make people laugh. Whoops, something is happening on my phone. What heyokas do is they make people laugh, and that is a healthy communication. That is a healthy communication. So when they're helping others, by making them feel good, by doing funny things to make them laugh, see, they're sending out a healthy communication, and that's going to come back to them 4 times and bless them. So it does seem difficult for Heoka, yeah, because they have to all day long, yeah, they have to do everything backwards. It's not a 9 to 5 thing. It's 24/7 for at least 1 year. So it's not easy. Yeah. Even when they're in a bad mood, they have to be funny. So it's hard. Yeah, it's really hard to do. So, nevertheless, um, sometimes uh, when a man has a difficulty that he's trying to find the solution for, and it's really hard. Sometimes he will talk to a medicine man about this, and he might give him some, or he could talk to a heyoka about this. Yeah, and the heyoka could give him like a temporary a calling in which this man will then be heyoka too for a year, because see, he's making people laugh, and that's healthy energy that's he's sending to others, so that's going to come back to him 4 times as strong because of this natural law of generosity, and that means it's going to help him. So that might help him find a solution to his difficulty. See, that's an alternate way of being heyoka. Yeah, but this really requires special uh, permission. Yeah, this is not something you play with. Okay, this is absolutely not something you play with. Okay, so um, when if the man is supposed to be heyoka, let's say that a guy he he dreams of thunder and lightning, and he talks to a medicine person, and the medicine person says, "Okay, yeah, it followed the protocol. The dream, yeah, followed the protocol that is set for heyoka. So now this man has to be heyoka, yeah, for at least a year." And so, whenever there's ceremonies that involve cleansing, a heyoka he can go there. Okay. So sometimes they go inside sweat lodge ceremonies. Yeah. Sometimes they're inside sweat lodge ceremonies because sweat lodge, Yinipi, this is about cleansing, and sometimes it's scary. Yeah, because you know, you're sitting inside the sweat lodge, and all of a sudden there's somebody standing right in front of you, and he's telling you you're gonna die tonight. Yeah, you're gonna die because you did something really bad, and the grandfathers know what you did. You deceived a lot of people, and tonight you're going to die. Then, if a guy hears that, he's like, "Oh shit, what did I do?" And then, if you don't know, it could really freak you out. Yeah. See what that was a heyoka. Yeah. And you have to translate that to the opposite. That means you're going to live because you did a lot of nice things for a lot of people. You're a good person. Keep doing what you're doing. That's what he means. But when it comes out opposite. So that's why it can get scary. Yeah? So this happened to a friend of mine. He said he really freaked out. Yeah, he he started panicking, and so the medicine man had to calm him down. Yeah, he said, "Don't worry." He said that was a heyoka. He said, "Oh, okay." He said, whoo, he really felt good after that. Oh shoot! So when you do ceremonies, you better know your stuff, yeah. Otherwise, something might scare you because you have lack of knowledge, yeah. Oh man, and he told me about that. Oh, that was just funny. Oh gosh. And anyway, um, and there's other ceremonies too, like this one I'm talking about concerning um, the um, the west direction. Yeah, and this is a ceremony that's done for people um, who sometimes have depression and or maybe another mental illness. Yeah, and they do this ceremony for them. And see, the other animals that are associated with the west direction are dogs. Dogs are associated with the west direction too. So, in this ceremony, um, there's a part where they address the 4 directions, and then they focus on the West, yeah, and then they'll say things like, um, to call the thunders, yeah, and only heyoka can do that. So how do you think a heyoka calls the thunder? Remember, he speaks in opposites, yeah. So you can figure that out. I'm not gonna say, but you can figure that out, I think. And then they come, yeah, and then there's certain things that happen in the ceremony. I'm not going to say what they are, but there's a certain kind of meat that they eat, that the patient eats. Yeah, it's supposed to be mainly for the patient, the person who is having a problem. This is from an animal that represents the west direction. Okay, and they eat this meat, and if you know what it is, um, it might gross you out because you're not familiar with, that part of our culture. And but all I'm going to say is that the meat has medicine from the West. Yeah, that means it has cleansing medicine in it. Yeah, and so that's the reason why they have to eat this, because when they eat this meat, the cleansing medicine from the West goes into the patient's body. And remember, the body, the mind, and the soul and the emotions are all connected. So then the medicine works its way to the mind, yeah, to start to bring the person back. Yeah, hence it's another version of calling the thunders. Yeah, it's an internal calling the thunders kind of thing. And what this does is that it puts the healing medicine from the West to spread throughout the body, focusing on the mind. Yeah, and then there's other things that happen that I can't tell you because it's sacred, but it involves um, healing, yeah, and bringing the mind back and in check, yeah, back in balance. And it's really a sacred thing because what's happening, see, remember the mind is very delicate. And when something like this happens, what the West energy is doing inside the patient's mind is it's rewiring that mind in the inside. Yeah, it's rewiring it so that the depression will leave, that, or whatever, if it's another mental illness or mental disorder, that it will leave. Yeah, voices will stop, for example. This is how they stop schizophrenia and stuff like that. It's a very hard thing, and it's a very difficult thing because it's a new birth. Yeah, and birth is hard. Just think about that. Yeah, when you come out of your mother's womb, it's just very difficult for both of you. When a when a caterpillar is turning into a butterfly, that's another kind of birth. It's really a struggle. Yeah, and it has to happen so that the energy can go throughout the body to begin the new life. Hence the new beginning, the new, yeah, rewiring the brain so that the person is like new again. So he's not really going back to his former self. It's like he's becoming a new person. Now imagine that. Okay, imagine what that can appear as. I'm not going to say anything more. Okay, I'm going to leave it up to your imagination about that. So, um, so this is one of the things they do, yeah. And then at the end of the ceremony, the heyokas come in, and they do their thing, yeah. And they really have funny dances too. And this is beginning the healing process for this mental patient, yeah. And in time, the disease will be gone because the brain is going to rewire. Yeah, the West energy is going to rewire the brain See, we have a cure for mental illness the whole time. And here in the early days of the reservation, the government threw all the medicine men and women into a mental asylum in South Dakota. All the medicine men and women all over America, the Native American, Indian medicine men and women all over America were thrown in this mental hospital in Canton, South Dakota. They sent them there to die. Isn't that funny? We had the cure to mental illness, and yet the American government threw our healers into a mental asylum. They had no idea they were throwing away the cure to mental illness. Isn't that crazy? That's the saddest irony ever, I think. Yeah, I think that's really one of the saddest ironies you can think of, because these healers had the cures to mental illness, and yet they were thrown in a mental asylum to die. They did this so that the native people would have nobody to go to. This is how they got natives to go to church. Yeah? Because in those times, in the beginning of the reservation, we were denied healthy food. Yeah, so we became diabetic. We had hypertension. We got heart disease. At the same time, our language and ceremonies were declared illegal. So we were hit emotionally and spiritually. Yeah, we were hit physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And remember what I said earlier, that the self has 4 parts. Yeah, the physical body, the emotional self, the soul, and these 3 parts were hit at the same time when Indians were put on the reservations. And the mind was the 4th part. And since 3 parts were hit at the same time, we became weak-minded. And with the spiritual and medicine healers thrown into mental asylums, we had nobody to go to for advice, and so the preachers, this is how they got us to come to church. And in our weak minds, we began to accept what these preachers were saying. So today, a lot of Indians, they don't want to accept or believe the things that we used to know. Just very few of us have this knowledge. I'm one of them, and that's why I have this show, to talk about it, to spread it. Yeah, to spread this information so people are aware. Who was really the civilized one here? Yeah? We had the cure to mental illness. Yeah? But the American government had bigger guns. They had more guns, and they oppressed us and brainwashed us. Yeah? The churches brainwashed us into changing our way of thinking to something dualistic. That's why I talk about duality all the time. Yeah, because we have to know that this is wrong, this is learned, and we have to unlearn it. If we're going to save this earth, we have to unlearn duality. And then we save each other, and we save ourselves. We free ourselves. Yeah? So, anyway, so with the ceremony, it's like I said, it's really a difficult thing, and what's happening is the brain is rewiring itself with the medicine energy from the west direction that is in the meat that they eat, yeah, from this animal that represents the west. Okay, so this is for mental patients, for people who have mental illnesses and mental disorders. So we have the cure, yeah. And it is a very special ceremony, and I don't think anybody does it anymore. But my mother's seen it. yeah, when she was young. So she described it to me, and it's really amazing what they do. Yeah, the horses dance during the ceremony. I'm not kidding. Yeah, they use horses in there because horses represent the West, and they dance in this ceremony. It's really interesting. Yeah, and she said when they sing this four direction song, the horses they face the four directions all by themselves. They just do it on their own. Yeah, it's really interesting. Horses are very, very sacred. Yeah, and so are dogs. People don't realize that. Yeah, because the dogs are also representing the West. So, um, like I said, this kind of meat is only for people who have mental illness. So if you eat this meat and you do not have mental illness, you're playing with fire. Yeah, it's like you're asking for a mental illness. Yeah, if you do not have mental illness and you eat this meat, then you might get mental illness. Yeah, because it's gonna backfire on you. So this is PC Lakota people don't know this today, and so some of them try to do it, and they think that they're like I said, they're playing with fire. You have to have this knowledge, otherwise you're going to make a big mistake that could really mess you up mentally. Yeah. So there's a guy in Rosebud. He had a blog talk show too. I don't know if he still has it, but he ate this kind of meat, but he did it at at a Sundance ceremony. They were eating this meat, and I was like, "Geez, this is not for Sundance, yeah, and this is not for everybody." And but a lot of Indians don't know that, and they just do it anyway, yeah. And then I noticed that this on this guy's show, he would say how much he hates white people. Yeah, he would just, I hate the white man for everything he's done to my. I hate white people. He would say that over and over and over, and yet his wife is from Austria. She's white, and they have a son, and he's half white. And so I was thinking, look at this guy. He must be retarded or something. Maybe it's because he ate that meat, and now he's talking like a crazy person. Yeah? Do you see what I mean? This is an example that if you don't need it, then don't eat it. Hey, that rhymes. I didn't mean to do that. It just came out like that. No, this is if you don't have this illness, then you don't need to eat that meat. Yeah, this is only for people who have mental illness. So anyway, this is a really old ceremony that see this is it involved eating a certain meat that it's going to gross you out if I tell you what it is. Um, it's not a horse, okay? It's not that. But the other things that happen in this ceremony, see the priests, they all saw this as devil worship. So, when we were being brainwashed on the reservation, um, Indians they told Indians not to talk about this because it comes from the devil. It's and stuff like that. So a couple generations later, nobody even knows about this, or very few people do. And those who do know about it, they don't know the complete story. They don't know all the rules concerning that meat. Yeah. So it's something that is very delicate, just like the mind is delicate. Yeah, it's really it's an amazing ceremony. Yeah, because it's you're curing somebody who has mental illness, and it really is hard, but there's a lot of compassion at the same time. Yeah, because you're making a new person. You know what I mean? Betty Jean. Anyway, I thought I would throw that in there because it is interesting, yeah, that we did have this ceremony, and it's just I just wanted to share that with you to show you who was really civilized back in the 1800s. Yeah, think about that. Oh gosh, heyoka is a really interesting concept. Yeah, what they're doing is cleansing too. Yeah, because when you laugh, you're doing a kind of a cleansing. Yeah, so this is why when you're going through difficulty, take some time to take a pause. Yeah, just take maybe a couple hours just to forget it. Yeah, just forget the difficulty or the worry. If you're worried about something, yeah, just take a few hours and just forget about it. Just forget about it. Don't even think about it. It's not going to go away because you're not done with it. Yeah, but you can take a break. A lot of people don't realize that, yeah, that you can take a break from your difficulty and go watch Mr. Bean. That's the Washichu Heyoka, yeah. I'm serious, yeah. The guy doesn't realize it, but he's a Washichu Heyoka. Oh man, that guy's just hilarious. I really like that guy. There's all these. I see all these episodes. Yeah, when he was trying to cheat on a math exam and jumping off this diving board and buying all these things from this furniture shop and oh that guy is nuts. No, seriously, yeah. You take some time away from your difficulty and do something that makes you feel good, that makes you laugh. It's okay. Yeah, take some time to take a break from your difficulty, from your hard time. It's okay. Yeah, and then see what you're doing is you're cleansing, you're clearing your mind out, and then you come back to it. And then you might get the answer quicker. Yeah, you might be able to solve it quicker if you do that. This is why humor is so important, my friends. This is why humor is so crucial to our lives. Yeah, and this is why in on the reservation we've gone through so much shit, and we're still going through shit with the corrupt tribal government, racism from non-Indian people in the schools everywhere. We're still going through it, but Indians are funnier than hell. Yeah, Lakota people are funnier than hell. Even though they're going through hard times, they take some time to tease themselves. Yeah, and it's so funny, and then it clears your mind. Yeah, you feel good, and you say, okay, now I'm gonna solve my problem. Yeah, so it's okay. Take some time away from feeling worried and scared. Yeah, and and from your difficulty and go do something or participate in something that makes you laugh, that makes you feel good. It's totally okay to do that. Yeah, and then afterwards you will not be afraid to come back to it because you feel better. You feel more confident, and now you're able to face it. Yeah, you've gassed up your engine, so to speak. Yeah, you've gassed up your car. You're the car, and you've gassed yourself up, and now you're ready to face it. Yeah, or you've recharged your batteries, so to speak, and now you're ready to face it. So recharging the batteries doesn't always mean going to a spa and listening to Enya music. No, 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 no. Recharging can also be achieved by laughing. Yeah, and then you clear your mind. It's a cleansing. Yeah. So this is important. Yeah, it's really important. It's very much part of life. And I'm just thinking of all the funny people I know from the reservation. Yeah, the funny stories they tell, the funny things that happen to them. And my mother, she had two friends. Um, they were all preschool teachers, and they had to take a extra class to keep their teacher certification. So they had it was a one night a week class, yeah, evening class, and one night a week, and they had to travel to another town, half hour away, to go there. And so they would every week they would take somebody else. One of the ladies would take their car, and they would all chip in with gas and stuff like that. And they might stop off someplace and have some lunch or snack or something like that. So they went up to they picked up one of her friends, and my mother told me to call her auntie. Yeah, even though she's not my auntie, my mom told me to call her auntie because this is how it is in Lakota. Yeah, you address each other as relatives. If you're not related, you use the cousin terms, or if they're from your parents' generation, you call them auntie or uncle. That's why my mom told me to call her auntie. Yeah, it's a Tioshbae rule. So even though she wasn't related, she was my mother's best friend. So one of my mother's best friends. So I had to call her Auntie Flora. So that's how I knew her. Yeah, Auntie Flora is really funny, and Auntie Flora went to pick up the other lady first because the other lady lived out of town, and Auntie Flora got a new car. Yeah, and it had these buttons to adjust the seat, and so she was showing off this her fancy car to the other lady. She said, "Watch, I can make the seat go higher." She said. She pressed a button here. The back of the seat really went backwards, so they were looking up at the ceiling. She was pressing buttons, and then nothing worked. So they were laying like that for the longest time. So finally, she 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 what did she accidentally hit something, and here the seat came back up. Yeah, it came up really fast. She said their lips just smacked. Yeah. So then after that, they went to pick up my mother. They were telling the story, and my mom said they just laughed all the way to class. And shoot, and they were supposed to take a test that night. Yeah, they were taking a test that night, and they were kind of worried, yeah, how they were gonna do. But this funny incident happened, so it really loosened them up, and and they were able to take the test and pass it successfully. Yeah, you see what I mean? Oh gosh, so see, humor is important. Yeah, it's important. Like I said, thinking about this kind of humor, Scottish and Irish humor is very similar to Indian humor. Yeah, it's very similar, and we've gone through the same things. Yeah, same kind of experiences. So we really have a connection um, because of that. Yeah, we're really on the same frequency. So that shows you not all white people are the same. Yeah, and that also means not all Indian people are the same either.